A boy stumbled upon something bizarre in the woods, a hand sticking out from the ground. Moving closer, he discovered it was actually a strange ceramic doll buried in the earth. Curiosity got the better of him, and he brought it home. When his father saw his son had picked up a filthy doll, his first instinct was to make him throw it away. But seeing how much his mute son adored it, they decided not to interfere. That evening, as the mother was cleaning the doll, she noticed it appeared to have been shattered and pieced back together. There were visible signs of repair work. Then she found something even more unsettling, a creepy note attached to the doll that read, "Whoever finds this doll must follow the rules written here, or face severe punishment." Lisa brushed it off as some kid's prank and didn't give it much thought. They wrapped the doll in a blanket and placed it on the couch, but as the family was heading to bed, Lisa caught a glimpse in the mirror. The doll seemed to be staring right at her. When she turned around, everything looked normal. Little did she know, the doll's arrival marked the beginning of their nightmare. Early the next morning, when Lisa went to call her son for breakfast, she found the doll dressed in new clothes. She assumed her son had changed them, but he shook his head no. Even more chilling, after Lisa left the room, the doll's head suddenly turned in a different direction. That afternoon, the boy carried the doll back to the woods. As if guided by a voice in his head, he dug up a small coffin from the ground, filled with children's clothes that seemed meant for the doll. Lisa, worried about her son, had followed him, but before she could ask what was going on, a large dog appeared behind them, giving them both a huge scare. The dog's owner quickly showed up and called off the animal. Turns out he was the forest ranger who thought trespassers had entered. Lisa figured he might be the doll's owner and offered to return it, but the man said if the child liked it, he could keep it. However, when he looked at the doll in the boy's arms, his expression suddenly turned grave. That night, Lisa told her husband about the day's events. She found both the doll and that man incredibly creepy. Who puts a doll in a coffin? It was just too bizarre. She suggested throwing the doll away, but her husband thought she was overreacting. After all, it was just a doll. While they were arguing, they suddenly heard voices coming from their son's room. They couldn't believe it. The doll had somehow gotten their son to speak. When Lisa asked if he'd been talking to the doll, he nodded yes. Although he still wouldn't speak in front of his parents, this breakthrough made them both happy. So Lisa dropped the idea of getting rid of the doll. The next morning, while tidying her son's room, Lisa discovered his favorite teddy bear had been torn to shreds. She couldn't believe her usually gentle son could do something so violent. When the couple confronted him about it, the boy denied doing it and shifted his gaze to the doll. Lisa obviously didn't believe a doll could do such a thing. Seeing her son wouldn't tell the truth, she punished him by sending him to his room to read, and he couldn't be with the doll. After shutting her son in his room, Lisa settled down with a book. But just as she was getting absorbed in her reading, she heard noises from the living room. It turned out to be the TV, but nobody else was there. After turning it off, Lisa rushed to her son's room to confront him, but he looked genuinely innocent and insisted he'd never left his room. Lisa still had her suspicions, but since her son wouldn't admit to anything, there wasn't much she could do. She returned to her seat to continue reading, but when she glanced at where the doll should be, it had vanished from the living room. Furious, she stormed to her son's room, but the door was locked from the inside. She angrily shouted for her son to open the door, but when she turned around, he was standing right behind her, which scared her half to death. So who had locked the door from inside? She tried the handle again, and this time the door opened. There sat the doll, properly positioned on the chair, staring at them with an eerie gaze.